Good morning, children. I hope you have seen the previous video, right? Where I have started the new chapter about the fundamental concepts, and I'm explaining. I have explained you about the fundamental elements of the state, the definition of the states, and the state comprises of what. Like if you want to have a state, a proper state, a state should be having a population, government, territory, and sovereignty. Only these four elements comprises and forms the state. Clear, children? So I hope so people have understood, right, what was the population, what does it comprises of, why sovereignty has to have a proper state, or else if you see why state should be a sovereign state, right? All these things you people have understood. Now this video is in continuation with the previous video. Now I'm going to explain you about other forms, other elements of a state, right? So let's start now. Now, government. Now, what do you mean by government? It is the third element of the state, children. Now, the government. Government is a political organization or machinery or agency of the state through which the laws of the state are made, implemented, enforced, right? It is a third essential element of the state, children. The state exercises sovereign power through its government. This sometimes creates the impression that there is no difference between the state and government. However, it must be clearly noted that government is just one element of the state. It is the agent or the working agencies of the state. Sovereignty belongs to the state. The government use it on behalf of the state. Clear, children? Each government has three organs: legislature, which formulate the will of a state, perform rule-making function; executive, which enforces and implement the laws of the state, perform the rule application function; and judiciary, which applies the law to specific cases and settles the dispute. Right, children? Government as a whole is an instrument through which the sovereign power of the state gets operationalized. In ancient time, the king used to perform all the functions of the government, and all parts of the governance stood centralized in his hands. Gradually, however, the power of the king got decentralized, and these came to be exercised by three organs: the assembly of representatives of the people or of all the classes of the people; the executive, the body of ministers who initially owed allegiance to the king but who later on came to be responsible representatives of the people; and the judiciary, the body of judges, initially the royal judges owing loyalty to the king but later independent judges acting as the protectors of right and freedoms of the people. Clearly, where in modern, if you see the modern time period, here three organs of government, that means they all changes into legislature, executive, and judiciary, children. Here, if you see, the legislature formulate laws, the executive implement and enforces the law, and judiciary adjudicate and settle disputes by interpreting and applying laws. It is also a universally accepted rule that each of the three organs of the state carries out its assigned function and responsibility. Independence of judiciary is also a settled rule. The relationship between legislature and executive is defined by law and it corresponds to the adopted form of government. In the parliamentary form of government, like the one which is working in India and Britain, the legislature and executive are closely related and the latter is collectively responsible before the former. In the presidential form of government as in operation in the USA, the legislature and two executives are independent and separate organ, each with a stable and fixed tenure. So if you see, children, over here what they're trying to say about defining the government, right, children? So government is the agency of the state and it has three organs: legislature, executive, and judiciary, children, and we have already did in class 10 civics. Clear, children? Now, government can be of several different forms: monarchy or aristocracy or dictatorship or democracy in its organization and working. In the government can be either parliamentary or presidential or both, and unitary and federal or mixture of the two. Clear, children? Let's move on to another element: sovereignty. Now at times we came across such type of words, so let's see what we mean by sovereignty. Sovereignty is the most exclusive element of a state. It stands accepted as the most essential element because of the state alone possesses sovereignty. Some institution existing in a state can have the first three elements but not sovereignty. A state has the exclusive title and to exercise sovereignty over its people and territory. Right, children? Now, sovereignty means supreme power of the state. Children, always remember, it means supreme power of the state. It has two kinds: internal sovereignty, external sovereignty. What do you mean by internal now? It means the power of the state in order and regulate the activity of people, group, institution which are at work within its territory. They always act in accordance with the laws of the state. The state can punish these for every violation of any of its law. External sovereignty, it means complete independence of the state from external control. It also means the equal freedom of the state to participate in the activities of the community of nation and to have its own foreign policy. Stand for the right of each state to have an independent foreign policy designed to secure the goal of its national interest in relation with other states. All this makes it essential to define external sovereignty of the state as sovereign equality with every other state and the equal freedom of action as the member of international community. Each state voluntarily accepts rules of international law, children. These cannot be forced upon any state. India is free to sign or not to sign, non-proliferation treaty or CTBT or nuclear treaty, right? No state can force her to do so. In practice, the government of the state exercises sovereign power on behalf of the state. Sovereignty belongs to the state, but it is exercised by the government. In fact, sovereignty of the state is the basis of all governmental authority. No state can really become a state without sovereignty. India became a state in 47 when it becomes independent. It was after her independence that India got the power to exercise sovereignty internally as well as externally. Clear, children? So thus these are the four essential elements of the state. A state comes to be state only when it has all these elements. However, out of this, sovereignty stands accepted as the most important exclusive element of the state. No other organization or institution can claim sovereignty. An institution can have population, territory and government but not sovereignty, right? For example, Andhra, Tamil, West Bengal, Odisha, Jammu and Kashmir, Punjab, all states of the Indian Union have their population, territory and government. These are also loosely called states. Yes, these are not really states. These are the parts of Indian Union and India is a sovereign state. Clear, children? Now, if you see India, China, USA, UK, France, Germany, Japan, Australia, Egypt, Africa, Brazil, Argentina and other such countries are a state because each of these possesses all four essential elements of the state, children. Clear, everyone? So I hope so people have understood. Now, difference between state and government. So here I'm going to tell you about the difference so that it will make you more clear about state and government. Now, if you see, government is only an element of the state. Now, a state has four essential elements, children: population, territory, government and sovereignty. On the other hand, government is only one element of the state. It is just one part of the state which act for the state. Next, if you see, government is an agency or agent of the state. Government is an agency of the state. It acts for the state. It is that agency of the state which formulate the will of the state into law, implement the law of the state and realizes conformity to the law of the state. It is, the agency of the state which exercises power and authority on behalf of the state. Third, state is abstract, government is concrete, meaning state is concept, an idea or a name used to denote a community of persons living on a definite territory and organized for the exercise of sovereignty. State cannot be seen, children. Government is made by the people of the state. It is formed by the representatives of the people or by a person. It is a definite and defined organization and form. It can be seen as a team of people exercising the power of the state. It is an organized group of a limited number of people which can be seen and interacted with. Fourthly, government involves only a particular part of a population of a state. The whole population is a part of the state. All the people are citizens of the state. However, government is made by the representatives of the people. Only some people who get elected act as the representatives of the people, form the government of the state. Right? Their number is limited to a few hundred only. Membership of a state is compulsory but not of government. All people, all people are citizens of the state. They together constitute the population of the state. Each one gets the membership of a state automatically right at the time of one's birth and continues to live life as such. However, membership of the government is not automatic. No one can be forced to become its member. Anyone can voluntarily seek an election, get elected as the representatives of the people and become a part of the government. Sovereignty belongs to the state and not government. Sovereignty is a hallmark of the state. It belongs to the state. The government exercises power on behalf of the state, and the basis of its authority is the sovereignty of the state. Sovereignty is comprehensive, permanent, absolute, unlimited, and all-inclusive supreme power of the state. The government exercises only defined and limited power. Clear, children? It draws its power from the constitution of the state. Now, next, territory belongs to the state. The state has sovereign ownership and jurisdiction over its territory. A state is a territorial entity and territory belongs to it. The government, has the responsibility to preserve, protect, and defend the territory of the state. The laws made by the government are applicable to all parts of the territory of the state, but territory belongs to the state and not to the government. Every state has uniformly four essential elements. However, the forms and features of government differ from state to state. Each state has a uniform personality. It has four essential elements: population, territory, government, and sovereignty. However, government can be of different form: parliamentary or presidential, unitary or federal, or a mixture of these. Government can be monarchical or aristocratic or democratic or a dictatorship. The people can change the form of their government, but the state exists independently and has a uniform character. Right, children? Now next, if you see, state is permanent, government is temporary. Government come and go regularly after every election. A new government is formed at any time. It can also undergo a total change, right? Through an electoral verdict or even through a revolution. State is permanent. It is continuously lives so long as it comes to enjoy sovereignty. Independent India continues, right, children, to live as a sovereign independent state since 47. However, she has witnessed the rise and fall of several governments at the national and state level. Thus, there are several, if you see, well marked, well defined, and well recognized differences between the state and government. Government is the agency or machinery of the state which exercises power of the people of the state. Right, children? In common usage, no distinction is made between the two. A government department is often referred to as state department. Likewise, state transport, state colleges of sports are really government transport and government colleges of sports. It's indeed loose and inexact use of name state. Right, children? So, a student of politics, however, realizes fully the differences between the state and always follows this in all studies of politics, children. So, I hope so. Till now, people have understood what is it all about, children. Don't get confused with the difference, right? Like I have written the heading, so here I am trying to explain ki why government is only an element of the state, why government is an agency or agent of the state, why state is abstract and government is concrete. So here I'm telling you the differences between the two, right? Government involves only a particular part of the population of the state. Here membership of a state is compulsory but not of government. Sovereignty belongs to the state and not government. Territory belongs to the state, like, children. Then if you see, every state has uniformly four essential elements. However, the forms and features of the government differ from state to state. Right, children? Now, if you see more, next, if you see differences, like every state has uniformly four essential elements, right, children? However, the forms and features of government differ from state to state. This I have already, explained. Now, if you see, state is permanent and government is temporary. The best part is that when we have understood is government come and go regularly. After every election, a new government is formed. At any time, it can also undergo a total change through its electoral verdict or even through a revolution. A state is permanent, it continuously lives so long as it enjoys, a sovereignty. Independent India continues to live with a sovereign independent state since 47. However, she has witnessed the rise and fall of several governments. So I hope the children, you people have understood all the four essential elements of the state, right, children? Now, without this, state can never be formed. Clear, children? And you have seen the example of the big countries, and I've already given you the example which properly the countries in the world called a proper state, right, have a proper, states. These are all, a proper countries. Now here, because they have four essential elements now. Clear, children? Government, territory, sovereignty. Clear? And population. And without this, the state can never be formed. So try to listen to the video attentively. You will get everything, children. Okay, till then, thank you.